Hi, my name is Nick and this right here is the updated BMW 1 Series, and this is the cheapest model into the BMW lineup. And although BMW have classified this as an all-new generation, it's really just a heavily revised version of the previous 1 Series that was launched back in 2020. And it's also $13,000 more expensive compared to before. So throughout the video, I'm going to talk about everything that is good about it and some of the things that could be better. So before we start, please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, and let's get straight into the review. Before we start, what are some of the key things that you need to know before you walk into a showroom? Well, the 1 Series is the type of vehicle that competes with the Mercedes-Benz A-Class, Lexus LBX, and the Audi A3 hatchback. And the version I'm featuring is the entry-level 118, and in total there are 3 different models to pick from. And the 1 Series is also very configurable, as you do have a wide selection of options and packages. And lastly, for ownership, warranty, running costs, everything you need to know is on your screen right now. Let's now talk about styling. So the front section has been completely redesigned, and that gets you full LED lighting with LED DRLs, automatic headlights and automatic high beam, and the front kidney grills have also been updated as well, finished off in gloss black, and there's more gloss black down on that bottom section. And the 1 Series also comes standard with the M Sport package, which gets you a sportier front bumper bar, side skirts and rear bar design. And moving down to the side, opposed to 18-inch wheels, this has been optioned with 19-inch wheels featuring a two-tone paint combination. And the wheels are also wrapped around in thin profile run flat tyres, which do make this car pretty firm on the road. But as standard, you do get the M high gloss shadow line, which is BMW's term for gloss black surrounding the window frames. And this car being optioned with the enhancement package, a full panoramic sunroof which opens and closes. And now looking at the rear design, at the back, full LED rear combination lights, 118 badging, a top boot spoiler and an improvised gloss black rear diffuser. Here on the inside, the first thing you are going to come across is the redesigned dashboard that looks a lot more modern and futuristic compared to what was featured before. And I do like the materials, this aluminium trim that integrates the ambient lighting and that is customizable. But what about fit and finish? Well, the door slam feels pretty solid. Up the top here is nice and soft and squidgy where you rest your elbow, on the top here and over in the center, but it does get a bit durable when you look lower down and on the bottom of the doors. But you do get this thick motorsport steering wheel that does feel pretty nice to grip onto. But it is worth pointing out that the door panels are exactly the same like what was featured before. And some of the options that you see on screen include these synthetic two-tone black and red seats and the unique design highlights off to the side, and of course the $5,000 enhancement package, which gets you a Harman Kardon sound system, the panoramic glass sunroof, massaging front row seats and a heated steering wheel. Which brings me on to comfort. So integrated within the touchscreen is your dual zone climate control. The front row seats can also be heated, electronically operated, and they also get a power lumbar support, and specific to the driver, a seat memory function with a manual tilt and reach steering column. Now, infotainment. This all runs off a 10.7-inch touchscreen supporting BMW's operating system number 9. And whilst you do get some touch buttons along here, some buttons on the steering wheel and down the bottom here, this system isn't as easy to use compared to previous iDrive systems, and I do think Mercedes-Benz's MBUX is a far better system. But you do get features like driver profiles to store all of your saved settings, integrated voice recognition that works pretty well, and inbuilt satellite navigation. You also get a Harman Kardon sound system with AM, FM, DAB, USB and Bluetooth that can support 2 devices at the same time. And for smartphone integration, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And the car is also connected, so this car can receive updates. There's also an SOS button up the top here, and you can also connect this car to your smartphone to receive remote functions and also download a whole host of applications. And if I go into this menu here, this will bring up your configuration for the driver assistance and drivetrain. And if I go into my modes, this goes into the main menu configuration from personal, sport, efficient, and you've got a wide selection to choose from. And if I click on park, this will take you into the 360-degree camera system, and you've got a wide selection of angles to choose from, including a 360-degree view. And there's also a reverse assistant, which is pretty useful if you go into the wrong driveway. And this car also has the ability to self-park itself. There are also front and rear parking sensors, a rear cross traffic alert, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitoring with a safe exit warning assist, along with a lane keeping assistant and a lane departure warning with an integrated autonomous steering function, adaptive cruise control, a driver fatigue monitoring system, and speed sign recognition. And in terms of the functions of this screen in front of you, it isn't as configurable compared to what you'll find on a Mercedes, but you can customize the layout and the information you want to see in front of you. And you can also quite easily customize the heads-up display that is positioned clearly on the windscreen. And lastly, in terms of storage, there are two small cup holders over in the center with a little bit of storage under here, a wireless phone charging pad with two USB-C charging ports, along with some storage under here that is pretty decent, a decent sized glove box and some vanity mirrors behind the sun visors. There's also decent door bin storage that could also fit a big water bottle. And in terms of accessibility, climbing into the car is okay for this type of vehicle. You also get a remote key with keyless entry, walk up and walk away door locking and unlocking, and push ignition is down the bottom here. Here in the back with this seat set in my position, as you can see, knee room and toe room is pretty tight, but I've still got enough headroom, and over in the middle seat, there's hardly any knee room and toe room, but again, decent headroom considering that this does come with a panoramic glass sunroof. Now, in terms of other key features, there are directional air vents with two USB-C charging ports, but it is worth pointing out there are no map pockets behind these front seats, but you do get decent door bin storage that could also fit a bottle of water, grab handles up the top here with LED lighting, and a flip down armrest with two small cup holders. And finally, for child seats, the two outboard seats are ISOFIX compatible, and behind me are free top tether points. Let's now talk about boot space. So firstly, the 1 Series comes standard with an automatic power tailgate, and from what we can see back here, there's 380 litres of boot space, which is the exact same figure as the Audi A3, but it's also a lot bigger compared to the Mercedes A-Class. The opening is also nice and wide, and overall, you can easily fit a pram, a large suitcase, and if you need more space, you can fold down the rear seats into a 40-20-40 configuration. And there's also a cutaway section off to the right, shopping bag hooks and tie-down points to keep items in place, but unfortunately a little low lip here. And whilst you do get some underfloor storage, the 1 Series does not come with a spare wheel, just a tyre repair kit, which is what you'll find across the competition. Before we go for a drive, let's talk about the powertrain. The 118 features a 1.3 litre turbocharged petrol engine sending power to the front through a 7-speed dual clutch automatic. But if I was buying a 1 Series, I'd go for the 120 because that comes with a more refined 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, again sending power to the front through a 7-speed dual clutch. But I think that is the sweet spot within the range. And finally, there's the Performance Focus M135 X-Drive, the all-wheel drive fast version, which is a model series that overall deserves its own video. So let's take this for a drive and see how it performs around the city. Moving on to driving impressions. Over the bonnet, there's great forward visibility, good side vision, decent sized wing mirrors, and at the back, rear visibility is also pretty good for a hatchback. But like with most rivals in this segment, there is a bit of a blind spot towards that C-pillar. And for controls, there's an electronic gear selector down the bottom here, wipers on the right and indicators on the left. And the 1 Series also features an electronic steering setup, so it's nice and manoeuvrable around town. And yes, the 1 Series these days is now front-wheel drive, so it may not be a traditional BMW with an inline 6-cylinder and a rear-wheel drive setup, but compared to some of the other sporty hatchbacks on the market, this is one of the better cars to drive when it comes to dynamics. But what about refinement? Well, as you can see with the camera footage, the suspension does come across a bit firm at times, and I think the bumpiness comes down to the wheel size, the wheel profile, and what kind of tyres are fitted. In this case, run flat tyres, which do come across very firm. And that is the same with every other premium hatchback. And this is all linked together with a dual clutch automatic. And some of you might not be fond with dual clutch automatics if you are coming out of an Audi, for example, but I'm on a hill. I'm going to put the car into drive, set off. Look at that, it's not so lurchy, is it? It's a pretty good dual clutch system. And when it comes to performance, this has enough power for everyday driving, especially driving around these roads, around Double Bay, but it just doesn't feel like a refined powertrain, and it doesn't sound all that great. And I did take this out on the open road to the Southern Highlands, well, in a 2 Series, and with BMWs, you're better off going for the model grade above, in this case, going from 118 to 120, because you get a 4-cylinder engine with a bit more power. But overall, the powertrain unit does feel a lot more refined, and it does sound better. And finally, fuel consumption. On your screen is what I achieved during my driving around the city and some of the surrounding suburbs around the CBD, and I thought that was a reasonable figure. So with my driving impressions out of the way, let's now wrap up with a verdict. The BMW 1 Series is a lot more expensive compared to before, but so are many of its rivals. But tell me in the comments down below, do you think this is a better alternative to the Audi A3 or Mercedes-Benz A-Class? You let me know your feedback in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, and I will see you in the next film. Thanks for watching.